Hey.
Alright, so if y'all missed or did not see any of the Houston-Denver game from Sunday night, then y'all really missed out on a great game of basketball, and that is something I never in a million years thought I'd be saying, just a few weeks ago in the offseason. Nikola Jokic had a monster 36 points, 21 rebounds, and 11 assists, but it was not enough because the upstart Rockets just continue to be on an absolute heater. And at the center of it all is Alperen Sengun. Now, I don't want to make it seem like it is just Alperen Sengun that is getting the Rockets off to a hot start. The entire team is playing well. As I'm recording this, they're currently 10th in the league in offensive rating as a team, and they're 5th in defensive rating, which are both huge surprises. Might just be the surprise of the early portion of the season. But at this point, I think it's safe to say that the hiring of Ime Udoka, whatever you think about him off the court, but on the court, that man is a basketball genius, at least so far it seems like it, with his stint with the Celtics in his 1 year. And then he's come to the Rockets, and it seems like night and day he has completely turned this team around. Now, it should also be mentioned that the Rockets front office also had a great offseason. They spent a lot of money on 2 players in Dillon Brooks and Fred VanVleet, and a lot of people question those signings. But so far, they have proven to be the right choices for this team. To me, it almost feels like they signed both those guys, Fred VanVleet to essentially be the offensive on-court captain, whereas Dillon Brooks is handling stuff on the defensive side of the ball. And it's night and day what this team looks like with these additions. But getting back to this game against the Nuggets, again, huge win for the Houston Rockets. They are now 6-3, I believe, to open the season. They're on a 6-game winning streak, and again, they should be applauded for what they've done so far. But at the same time, I do see a lot of people already calling the Houston Rockets a playoff team, and I'm just not quite sure if I'm ready to take that stance yet. It should be noted that 7 of their 9 games so far have been at home. In fact, I think the last 7 games were at home, so yes, they won 6 out of 7, which is great, but this is still a team that is yet to truly be tested. Now, with that being said, they have a ton of young talent on this team, and they are so far showing up for these tests. And again, Alperen Sengun is at the center of it all. I know that there's been a lot of debate amongst Rockets fans about what the future of this team should look like between all of the young talent of Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr, and Alperen Sengun. And while Jalen Green and Jabari Smith are both great players, and I think still have very bright futures in this league, it has to be clear to everyone by this point that Sengun is the centerpiece for this team moving forward. And no better way for people to start realizing this than to see the Rockets go head-to-head against the Nuggets, who have been playing around Nikola Jokic for the past couple of years. Because, yes, although I hate making comparisons between players and their play styles, there are a lot of similarities between Sengun and Jokic. Sengun continues to be a wizard offensively. He plays at his own speed. He loves using ball fakes. He's great at using his body and just contorting himself in awkward ways to get these shots off. And one thing that I really loved about this Jokic-Sengun matchup is obviously they're both better offensively than defensively. Not to say that they're terrible defensively, but because of that, they can kind of just go at each other, and as long as there aren't a double team sent, then we just see some really enjoyable post-ups from both of them. I really love the aggressiveness from Sengun in this game. Obviously, he knows Jokic is the player to attack on this Denver defense, and there were a lot of times where he'd get the ball in the high post or near the foul line, and he would just go straight at Jokic and got some really nice buckets that way. He's also been working on this little one-legged Dirk fadeaway that he has absolutely no business. Like, there's no reason to be doing this on a lot of these shot attempts, but if it works, it works, and it looks cool, so I hope he keeps on doing it. But the thing that stood out to me the most for Sengun from this game, and again, this ties back into the additions of Ime Udoka and Dillon Brooks to some extent too. But Sengun has looked awesome defensively to open the season. Even in this game, didn't get cooked as much as I thought he would by Nikola Jokic. Had a couple of really nice blocks. Even had one chase down block in transition, which was insane. But he's got really good active hands. He has high IQ. And if he's able to sustain this level of play defensively where he's doing just enough that you can't take him off the court or go at him, then that's all the Rockets are going to need for now and for the future. Now, my second favorite Houston Rocket from this game was easily Jae'Sean Tate. He has been an absolute monster off the bench for them since, getting I'm pretty sure he was injured to start the season, but now that he's back in the rotation, he has just been amazing. He had a rough season last year, but now he's back to being on the all-hustle team, all-hustle squad, whatever you want to call it. He had 3 awesome steals in this one, including the game-winning steal on that last inbounds play by the Denver Nuggets. He's great at moving the ball. He can get you some rim pressure. He's awesome at attacking the glass on offensive and defensive rebounds. And at the end of the day, every team needs someone like a Jae'Sean Tate who is willing to put his body on the line for every single loose ball. And I don't know how you can hate a player like Jae'Sean Tate. Let's talk about Fred VanVleet real quick, because I was on record on a different video talking about the Raptors earlier a couple weeks ago. And I said that I like the Dennis Schroeder fit in Toronto more than the Fred VanVleet fit. And I still stand by that take. But at the same time, I'm also really enjoying the Fred VanVleet fit in this Houston team. It's interesting to look back in recent years when they had Kevin Porter Jr. running the point guard spot, and just with all of the terrible plays he'd make and terrible shots that he'd take, to now see Fred VanVleet step into that role and this offense immediately just rise up a few levels. It's cool to watch. He just adds such a level of maturity to this team that he can actually be an on-court coach, run an offense, and although I still don't agree with his shot selection 100% of the time, I do have to admit that he's done a great job at keeping this offense moving, keeping the ball moving. Plus, he's stepped up in a bunch of fourth quarters. So again, even though I don't agree with the shot selection 100%, I do understand that he is the guy on this team right now that wants to take those big shots, and he's hit them in the past, so I'm chilling with it for now. Now, Jalen Green is a very interesting player in my head. He's now 21 years old. Since he's been drafted out of the G League Ignite team, he was supposed to be the face of this Rockets team, but he has since taken a step back, and he is currently the second on the team in points per game at 19 points, just behind Alperen Sengun at 19.4. I'd expect Green to overtake and be the leading scorer on this team, just considering the fact that he's currently shooting 41% from the field, 40% from 3, and 77% from the foul line. And again, although the numbers haven't always been there this season, I have really enjoyed what I've seen, at least what I saw from this one game. He continues to be absolutely electric with the ball in his hands. He's just able to hit such a higher gear than everyone else on the court when he is attacking the rim and coming out of triple threat. I think overall, this role of just having to focus on scoring and shooting the ball will better serve him, because that is what he does best. He is great at attacking the rim. He's great at hitting shots, had that one really nice step back 3 in that Nuggets game. And I literally made a comment on my notes when I was taking notes during this game that even though he is great at getting rim pressure and driving the ball, I would like to see him continue to improve as a passer out of these drives, because I feel like he still forces a lot of shots at the rim when he could just keep the ball moving, drive and kick and relocate. And then late in the fourth quarter, he made a really nice drive to the rim where he then drew the defense and dumped it off to a cutting Alperen Sengun. It was a huge bucket in the game, and it was a huge play for, again, Jalen Green's development. And it was almost like he saw me write some notes, even though the game was in the past and I was watching it I don't know how time works, but it was nice to see. And then let me add one more thing for Jalen Green. I almost forgot to say this, but the Rockets have been running this lineup where it is Jalen Green at the point, and it's 4 other bench players with him, and it's been a very intriguing lineup because on defense they switch everything, and against the Nuggets, it absolutely destroyed the Nuggets bench, and it kept them in the game, and you could even make the argument that it won them the game in the fourth quarter. But the Rockets and Ime Udoka are clearly trying to get Jalen Green more reps at the point guard spot to improve his playmaking. So again, I think this is definitely something to keep your tabs on if you are a Rockets fan. And now to wrap up the video, let me just talk about Jabari Smith real quick. Before I say anything, I am holding on to my Jabari Smith stock. That is not going anywhere. I think he is at the least just too good of a defender and hustle player that he can never truly be a bad player in the NBA. But at the same time, why is he just turning into tall Aaron Nesmith? Like, for real, he gets drafted into the league mainly as a shooter, just like Aaron Nesmith was to the Celtics, and then he gets to the league and he just cannot make any shots to save his life, is able to still fight for minutes because he plays really good defense and is a great hustle player and hits the glass and goes after every loose ball. But man, he just cannot buy himself a jump shot sometimes. Now luckily for Aaron Nesmith, he's finally starting to make his threes and he's actually become a really good role player for the Indiana Pacers. But Jabari Smith is still yet to be that same scorer that everyone thought he was going to be. Now on this year's iteration of the Houston Rockets, it's not a huge deal because they have plenty of other guys they can go to score the ball in big moments. But it does have to hurt a little bit knowing that Houston spent a 3rd overall pick on Jabari Smith, that he just continues to not be able to figure it out offensively, despite showing great flashes during Summer League and the preseason of him being able to drop 30 effortlessly. It just is yet to translate to the regular season. And again, I'm not selling my stock, but it is still a little frustrating. But that's all I got for this one. Again, Houston Rockets playing like an actual basketball team again is a really fun early season development that I don't think a lot of people saw coming. Again, I am fully expecting them to, kind of ease off as the season goes on. They've had a 7-game home stretch. They're hitting the road now. Probably some losses inbound, but even if they're able to just stay and hover around like 500, a little below it, that is a huge win for the development of this Rockets team this season. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, all of those good things, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.